Okay, so um, I read your history form. How long have you did mention that you have an eating disorder. Have you had that clinically diagnosed?
Yes, there's an eating disorder clinic here in the Denver area, and it was such a joke, though. I mean, they didn't really know how I was the only one who had my type of eating disorder. Everybody else is basically anorexic or bulimic, but they really didn't have a program for me, and it was an outpatient. I went to work during the day, and then I went every night. Um, and so, uh, yeah, I was diagnosed there,
Hmm.
and
What did they diagnose you with?
well, other.
Yep, I was gonna say other
and
specifications, but it's clinical diagnosis. You have an eating disorder versus like, oh, she's just disordered eating. Do you know the difference?
yeah, it was what they call it. They called it
Eating disorder not otherwise
yeah,
specified.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was basically fell under the umbrella of eating disorder,
Yeah. Like you
overeating, binge eating. Yeah.
yeah, would you say that you binge more than twice a week?
Normally, yes.
Yeah. Yep, and that's and it's euphoric.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Not the binge. The binge isn't necessarily euphoric. It's the decision to binge that's so damn awesome.
I can feel like almost like a physical, chemical something happen as I'm eating.
Oh,
There's something going on. I've always been able. It's happened to me my whole life. I'll be eating a cheeseburger, and my first bite, there's something chemical happening.
well, that happens to every single human being that eats. Just so that you know, the difference is what you do before you eat a burger is where you are set up to have a more pronounced reaction to the burger. So the difference between you and someone who doesn't binge, okay, is you have an extreme fear of that food and it is moral to you. Like it is a deadly sin for you to have that cheeseburger. And not only that, you're not supposed to ever have it. Like you're not allowed cheeseburgers. The other thing is, um, you have to justify and rationalize it because of that, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you forget all of that. Do you realize that people that don't binge do not have those pre-qualifiers prior to eating the cheeseburger?
Really?
Yeah.
They don't have a conversation in it.
No. Has anybody
um,
ever explained that to you?
no, no. In fact, in all of my classes at the eating disorder clinic were all geared towards about really fucked up thinking.
I know, and
That's
it's
all
really
they're
not.
focused on.
That's actually far more complicated than what you're dealing with. So when I explained that, right? When I explained this, it's almost like this insanity in your head, right? Before you have a bite of that cheeseburger. Do you think that that may have an influence on how your body reacts to the cheeseburger?
Well, I'm thinking about that for the very first time in my life, and I would say probably I would tell anybody yes if I heard that about them. I would say yes.
Of
That's
course.
definitely having an impact.
Think about, let's just use Christmas, for example. How does Christmas feel the morning of when a child is told to wait, 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 and you're going to be getting toys that we will never buy you? It's only for Christmas. How do you think Christmas is going to feel to that child? Compared to a child who doesn't have to wait for Christmas, they can have, they get presents randomly all year long. They're never withheld from what they want. which one's going to have a more euphoric Christmas?
Right.
The child who never gets anything and is withheld. It's going to be like freaking cocaine on ecstasy.
Yeah.
Right? So you are, by nature of the shame, guilt, loathing, embarrassment of your body, food, you're not allowed to eat it. You can't have a cheeseburger. And not only that, but you have to hide, because if someone sees you eating a cheeseburger, that's even worse.
Yeah.
All of those thoughts, all of that stress, the fact that you, in order for you to be able to have even a bite of that cheeseburger, you have to reason. You have to fight for it. You have to justify. You have to have a good reason to do it. Like someone who doesn't have, quote unquote, the same weight problem, do they have to justify eating that cheeseburger like you do?
No.
What do you think that does? When you choose to finally eat a cheeseburger, how do you think it's going to affect your brain and the pleasure center of your mind? Specifically, the moment you say, screw all of you, I'm going to go get it. Tell me how that feels the moment you decide, I'm going to go for it. Tell me how that feels.
How's it feel? It feels defiant. And I'm not who I'm defying.
Society. It's society. That's who you're defying, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Feels defiant, but when you've actually made the decision, it's on. Tell me how that feels.
It's powerful for me. It's like,
it's amazing.
I live in Colorado. It's one of the hardest places to be overweight. And so,
because society is more judgmental of you. Do you feel like the Colorado culture is more judgmental of obesity?
Oh my gosh.
How about ignorant to how that happens? Do you feel like they're more ignorant?
Do I feel like they're what?
Ignorant.
They're ignorant to me.
Yes, to how it happens, right? They have no freaking idea what this takes.
No clue.
Yeah, so they're just assume you're just a piece of shit. You just a piece of shit, right? Like you don't make efforts.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you need to stop eating. And you look at them and go, do you know how many times I've starved myself? Do they have a freaking clue? No.
Right.
They have no idea. Most people just assume you're uneducated too. You just don't know about gluten yet. Not funny?
I mean, if you eat meat here, and we're still considered a cow town ranching society, but I live so close to Boulder where everyone is a vegan. I mean, you gotta kind of look around before you even order meat in a restaurant sometimes.
Yeah, would you say that living, maybe specifically where you live, culturally there is a more strict food religion?
Oh, yes.
It would be like predictably saying, like going to Salt Lake and knowing, predictably it's a very Mormon culture. It's Mormon history. Mormon developed it, right? You could say predictably the culture is going to be more Mormon culture, right? So you're saying Boulder, Colorado has a very predictable food culture.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the binge. This is important, right? What you're saying is because you live in a very strict environment, so everybody just assumes that you just don't know anything, right?
Yeah, when I go home back to central Illinois, on the border of Indiana, down south near Kentucky, the attitude towards me is so different, even with people I don't know, just because I look average there.
So would you say when you go there, your eating disorder is less appealing?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I lost weight the last time I went home.
Say that again?
I lost weight the last time I went home. I was there for about almost a month.
Yeah, well, is it because you tried to lose weight, or is it because you just didn't have the same pressure to lose weight, that your body just did it on its own because you weren't binging as often?
Yeah, I didn't feel the need to.
Okay. So
I don't think I did once.
so remove the whole weight loss bullshit, because that honestly has absolutely no importance to me. I'm more concerned about your perceptions. No, so to me, this is not surprising. But when you live in an environment where it's very strict and you feel more judged and there's a sense of pressure on you, notice how your impulses to binge out of I have failed, I have to be perfect, I don't want to be perfect, I want to, break out of this cult, versus when you go to an environment where there is more lenience to your body, you obviously don't have the same pressure and you have the less impulses to binge.
Well, the focus on food was what I would binge on.
Of course.
So
Well,
I just didn't eat it.
the focus on food, say that again.
The focus on the food in that environment.
Which
was
environment?
The type of food I would in back home.
Yes.
Was the type of food I would binge on here in Colorado.
Oh, because you can't have it in Colorado.
Well, there's just a lot of judgment around it, where it's an everyday eating festival back home. I mean, people, stuff's made with bacon grease, lard. People grill out all the time. Mm-hmm. It's just the type of food that I would binge on here is what is just common meals back home. Okay, so
yes, but when you're in Colorado, those foods that you were raised with, right, those are judged as bad. And the fact that you, right? And the fact that you are morbidly obese, it's a visible issue that you can't hide, and they're judging that as well. So if you're eating animal meat in public, right? If you say, I made this with bacon grease, right? You're you feel bad about it. Like there's something wrong. When you go home, no one cares. There's no pressure. There's no judgment. So therefore you don't have the same impulses to binge. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I want to make this very simple. The pressure for you to lose weight and eat perfectly is different. And therefore the manifestation of your binge eating disorder changes, right? So when you go back home, when you're not looked at through judgmental eyes, you're not shamed for your body, the food you want to eat isn't shamed as well. Would you say that the impulse to binge is significantly less?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question for you based on that observation alone. If you were diseased in the brain with this eating disorder disease, would that make any difference? If food is your addiction, does it matter where you're at? If you eat it, you'll binge on it?
Interesting.
I want you to think about this. If you are diseased, as the disease model is taught to you, as if you have a genetic predisposition for this, okay, would it matter if you were at home or in Denver when you eat those same exact foods?
No, it shouldn't, not based on the model of addiction.
No. Of course it shouldn't. But you specifically are aware at this point there's a significant shift in your impulses eating the same exact food when you change cultural environments. So what would happen if you stay in Boulder and you just don't give a rat's ass about anybody's opinion? What would happen to your impulses to binge if you just lived the way you wanted to live, let people be ignorant, let people be high and mighty and self-righteous without you needing to defend yourself? What would happen to your impulses to binge?
I would say they would be basically non-existent like they are back home.
So with that said, if you don't care about other people's opinion, Does that make sense? If you were diseased or addicted to food, would it matter what other people's opinion were? I mean, or whether you cared or not, would it matter? No, it wouldn't. You would just binge regardless of people's opinion or not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You getting an aha moment? You getting like a, oh my gosh, I've been misinformed? The thing is this, honey, I'm positive.
I get to the point to where I can ignore the stares and the words.
Yeah, well, and you are going to have to, if you care about the stares and the words. What do you have to do?
Care.
You have to change. Even though,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you have to now change the way you eat to match their belief systems. Right? What if let's just use a religious culture, like religious cults. Let's say you go live somewhere and there is a very predominant religious cult. And they say, you've got to wear a specific type of clothing. You can't believe the way you were raised. You have to believe the way we think you should believe. And if you don't believe the way we do, we're going to judge you. We're going to throw some stones at you. That way you might gravitate more towards just at least pretending to believe the same way we believe, right? What would you do if they said, oh, look at you, you're wearing the clothes that we don't like. Judgy, judger, judger pants. Would you convert to that religion?
No. Would you? Actually, I always thought part of my problem was because I was kind of raised in that environment, so I just don't want any rules.
Of course not. It's almost like you don't want any rules to prove them wrong, which is still controlled by their rules. But ultimately, if you were in an environment and judged by a belief system you didn't believe in, would it hurt your feelings? Or would you be affected by it if you didn't care about their beliefs or believe in them?
No.
You would just be like, okay, you guys are special needs. We'll have fun with your special rules. You wouldn't be hurt by them because you'd see that they were crazy. Okay. So would you say that in the culture you're in, that there is a definite food culture, food cult, food religion?
Yeah, it's intense.
I believe you. To where they've lost sight of what humanity truly is about, haven't they? It's just crazy.
I just can't believe how bad it's getting worse. I mean, it was bad when I moved here 20 years ago, but it's worse now.
Yeah, I would agree, because there's a lot more food mongering today than there was 20 years ago. There's a lot more food fear. There's a lot more food culture. There's more food cults at this point where people actually identify themselves by the way they eat.
Yeah.
And with that, the psychology is very similar to religious cults. So you know how religions are super judgmental?
Yes.
They forgot that they're supposed to be, let's just use in Christianity, they forget that Jesus is supposed to give people grace to be themselves, right?
Right.
They've completely forgot about the Christian part of it. Anyways, what you're dealing with is very similar. It's a very parallel. When someone identifies themselves by their culture, they become the culture, and then if anything conflicts with that, they get defensive, right? Or judgmental.
Right.
Can you see how it's almost identical? Food religion and religious religion, how they're almost parallel, identical.
Right.
Psychologically too, you could say, oh, this is really predictable. How is this person going to feel when they eat something that is against their food religion? They're going to feel ashamed of themselves. They're going to feel like they did something wrong.
Right.
And it might not just guilty about what they did, but they might think it defines them spiritually or defines their worth as a human. That's where the shame comes in. When I'm saying this, would you agree your experience?
Yeah, most definitely.
That shame over food is only there because you have shame about your body.
I would agree with that statement.
Okay. So is the issue that you have an eating disorder or that you have a body image disorder that has created an eating disorder? Because when I just asked you, your behavior with food is only there because you have an incredible amount of shame about your body and pressure to fix it. It feels like life or death. It feels like it's imminent. It feels like it has to happen like this second, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Do you think that in any way that might be affecting your relationship with food?
I don't know. Probably. Yes, to answer your question, probably.
Yeah.
Well,
let me. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I just, I guess I just don't know. I don't know how else to think about the whole thing. It's lifelong, so I don't even know how to think about it differently.
I'm not asking you to think differently. I'm just trying. In fact, I'm just trying to help you communicate what you haven't been able to vocalize. Because what I'm telling you, you're hearing truth. You're actually feeling like, holy shit, this is true. How come I've never thought of it that way? All I'm doing is opening up your mouth right now. I'm speaking for you right now, aren't I?
Yeah, I mean, I never had words to match the feeling, so yeah.
Am I making this up? Am I making you say, yes, this is true? Or am I saying the truth and you're recognizing it?
No, you're saying the truth and I'm recognizing it. I had never vocalized it before.
Well, you should feel like you can breathe a little better right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, oh, there's something here. There is an exit. There's an exit. You should feel that. Where before it was completely shut. There's no hope. You're diseased forever, right? Yeah, it's crazy. If anybody tells you that, because that's honestly, that's like freaking death sentence. That's what you're doing when you tell people they're diseased. You're giving them a death sentence. Okay, so stick with me. I'm just helping you express everything that you have been confused by. If there's anything I say that doesn't match, I need to know, because I will open up another route and see, well, does this match? Does this match? Okay?
Okay.
So you have this incredible amount of shame over your body that is so defining your life. That is putting equal amount of pressure on you to fix it. And the way you fix it is obviously through starvation. You have to remove food for your body to have access to that fat to be used as fuel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that type of pressure, however, to starve affects you psychologically. You have this hardwired survival instinct that requires food to survive, but yet your belief systems about body image say you can't have food, and nor can you have pleasure, right? So you have a brain that is wired to require pleasure with food, and that requires food, but yet your beliefs say you can't have it. So the outcome is feelings of punishment, feelings of deprivation. That sense of deprivation is a very significant emotion. Because ultimately that drives hoarding behavior. It's like a state of famine. Once you are in a state of famine with food, but yet it is still around you, what are all humans prone to do? If you've been in a state of famine with food all around you, and you are being withheld based on rules, what is the impulse going to be if you have a stress?
You're gonna binge.
What human wouldn't binge?
Right.
You do not have a personal psychological problem here. This is a predictable psychological problem based around a culture that worships the anorexic body and the anorexic lifestyle or orthorexic lifestyle, which is still very anorexic, right? So we worship this body that is frail and anorexic. Culturally, it's accepted as the ideal, correct?
Yeah.
And to attain that ideal, if you believe in that, if you worship at that altar, you can't eat. But yet, how much food do we have available to us? It's beyond abundant.
Right.
And you're left to feel like you have some psychological problem because you have urges to binge. It doesn't sound as bizarre now, does it?
It doesn't.
Nope. Like, hello? Any of you vegan orthorexic people out there would binge too. If they had the pressure, right, to starve. If they truly had the same pressure to starve, and it's real starvation that you're supposed to have. Don't you agree? You can't eat just like regular. You can't really eat. Don't you agree that you're like, if you look at the pressure you're putting on yourself when you actually eat, is there anything that you don't feel bad about?
No.
I know, right? Wouldn't you just say that in general, eating creates a sense of shame?
It does. It does for me, yes.
Mm-hmm. I want you to take a deep breath. Should any human being feel ashamed for eating?
No.
Especially if they truly have a physical need. Should you feel bad? Should you have to argue for why you should be eating when you're hungry?
No.
It's just crazy. And is it fair for you to be told that when you taste food and it's pleasurable, that there's something wrong? No, because you realize that your mouth and my mouth and every single human being that's been born and alive today, that's functioning, has millions of pleasure receptor sites, literally millions and millions of receptor sites in the mouth that go hardwired to the narcotic area of the brain. Are you supposed to feel bad about that? Is that a flaw? No, that's actually part of the brilliance of human survival over thousands and thousands of years. Pleasurable food is an indication of abundance. Our brain is wired to seek pleasure with food. You cannot escape it. Every human being is wired to gravitate to pleasurable food. Is that bizarre? I mean, should you feel bad that you have the same human needs as anybody else?
No.
Nope.
Never thought of it that way.
Oh my God. Yes, but you know what? Because you have this obesity, you can't do it. And you wonder why you're binging and hiding food, right? Does it make sense to you why you would hide food? You're afraid. You're afraid of judgment. Because you know the belief system, you can't have it, right?
Yeah, the judgment it destroys me.
Yeah, it would destroy me too. It would destroy me too. It did almost destroy me, to be honest with you, but I just had my own shift of consciousness. But I will talk to you about that some other time. Because there is a reason why I know this. And I sure as hell didn't get it from a therapist or from a clinic or from my education. How do you think I know this stuff?
Well, and that's why I'm talking to you, because I need to talk to somebody who's been there.
Yeah.
Not someone who read it in a book.
No, I know how it feels. Like, I get the feeling of it. That's the only way I can help you explain it. It's because I so understand and know from my own personal internal experience from the same feelings. And when I went through it, I didn't have anybody to help me express it. I just had desperation and suicide calling, right? So I want you to think of something. What would happen if you died? The body you're in dies. Okay? And you get another body. And this next body you have is morbidly obese. Would you do what you're doing now to that new body?
Well, if I had to live the same life over, probably. I mean,
No, I didn't say. It's a totally different life. Totally different life. Different life, new body, same obesity. Would you dedicate your entire life to trying to lose that fat again?
Probably.
So you would.
I don't know how not
So do you? Well, you don't have to know how not to. You just have to want a blank slate. So basically what you're saying is I would totally do the same thing because that's all I know, even though I'm suffering and miserable.
Well, if I started out big, I don't even know.
Well, I just want you to think about it. Let's really think about this thoroughly now. If you got a new body and it was the same, would you voluntarily live this way, knowing what the outcomes is? Or would you choose to accept it and not do anything about it? Just let go. Just live your life.
I feel like I'm telling you the wrong answer, but I would try to lose it.
Tell me how that's been for you.
Oh, I've been completely unsuccessful on every level I've tried.
Okay, so you would continue to try with the next body. You wouldn't give up.
I wouldn't give up. I would try to figure it out. I mean, there's an answer. I've just spent an awful long time looking at all the wrong ones.
Well, but have you noticed this consistency in the fact that you are dedicating your entire life to trying to fix the human body?
My human body. I don't think where I am is what's meant to be.
Well, of course not. You've dieted yourself this way. I mean, you forced this to happen.
Right.
So, how's it working for you?
Obviously not well.
Are you happy? Are you happy with this?
I'm still looking.
Tell me, are you happy with this life that you've created? Meaning, do you like dedicating your life to pursuing the thin body? Is this something you would want to dedicate your next life to as well? Because you love it.
I don't even want to be thin. I just want to be functional.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. That's not going to happen if you keep on trying to lose weight. Because even when you were functional, it wasn't good enough. No, I would just really consider this. Like, honestly, would you encourage someone, knowing how it happens, would you take, let's just use a 20-year-old who's overweight or, obese, and say, you know what, you can keep on working on this. You can get that thin body. Would you encourage them to do that? Knowing what happens.
if I thought I had the right answer, when I figured this out, yeah, I would share it with myself. I would go back to my younger self and say, this is what works.
For being, this is what works for being thin, because that's the most important thing in everybody's life.
To me, it's not about being thin. It's not about thinness for me.
Okay.
I don't want to be.
It's about, would you say it's about just being approvable? Just getting approval?
Maybe. Approval, I guess in my eyes, I just want to be functional. I mean, I can't do a lot of the things that I just want to do.
Yes, I would, but do you see that the more pressure you put on yourself to lose weight, the more dysfunctional you get? Right? Do you see that yet?
Well, so what do I do? Do I just try to lose the desire? And then
yes. This is the only way out. There's only one way out of this. There really is only one way out, and it's the way you got in. You have to unravel the way you went in. So how you went in is by wanting to lose weight. It doesn't matter what size you were. It doesn't matter what size. You just wanted to lose weight. For approval. So if you actually wanted to lose weight for health and function, would you be so strict? Would the pressure to lose be so instantaneous and quick? Meaning you have this pressure to lose weight that is so insanely, intensely now. Right? If it was truly about function and health, would it be that intense?
I think just because I'm just so tired of what my weight has kept me from doing. And it's not as urgent as it has been in the past.
Okay.
But it is, I need to be mindful and do something.
And how is that working for you right now? Has that been enough motivation for you?
Well.
Has it been enough motivation for you to have success? Has that feeling you just said, I need to do this for just being functional? Because I believe when you say that, that's coming from your heart, right? You're not making that up. I don't think that that's vain. But has that dream ever truly been enough for you to open your mind about the relationship you have with food?
That's all I think about.
Is your relationship with food? Or the desire to help the body heal?
I don't think I think of it specifically in those words, but I
help the body heal. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Of course not. You're thinking I need to lose weight.
Well, no, I know it's in my head. I mean, that's where it begins. That's where I've never really had help with.
Yeah.
I've had tons of people tell me how to lose weight.
Yes, and has it ever worked for you?
Well, no. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to rewire my brain around this elephant in the room. Literally just sitting here trying to figure out how not to think the same way.
Yeah. What if I were to tell you, I honestly, back to what you just said, I believe with my heart and soul, I believe you. This has literally been a plague in your life. This dieting, needing to lose weight. It has been such a scourge in your life. Should anybody's life be devoted to this? Anybody?
No, I don't think we should have to think about it. It shouldn't even be a thought. It should just be...
You should just live in a body.
I fed my body. Okay, I'm done.
Yes, agreed. Right? Your body can take care of itself, right? And you should have this freedom spiritually to thrive, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, you have dedicated your life to being thin, regardless of your size. You have literally dedicated your life to it. And what has happened by this desire and dedication to be thin or lose weight or just be functional? What's happened?
Right.
Okay, so
But you resist persist.
of course, right? But you don't even really want it. You're doing it for approval. At least the majority of this is for approval. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so obsessive compulsive with the food. Okay? That comes from striving for social approval. That social approval isn't really about your approval. It's about, I want people to like me. I want people to stop judging me. That is directly dependent on other people's opinion. And that is why you feel so insecure about what you're doing and why the pressure is so intense, because you have to have their approval. And that happens every time you walk to the store, into the store, right? That's imminent. You're going to have to allow people to disapprove of you and to have it not affect you. Okay? Because if you continue to let it affect you, it's going to change the pressure on you to lose weight, which directly increases your urges to binge. Okay? The next thing that has to happen is you're going to have to learn what it feels like to not dedicate your life to weight loss. You need to actually do it immediately. Most people who have been brainwashed by this idealism with the body, which you've been brainwashed. That's why you have no concept of anything outside of it. You have this belief that when you're thin, that all of a sudden this life will open up for you, right? When you're thin or
yeah,
when you're, okay, that all of a sudden you're going to have the feelings of freedom and this grandeur and approval, and people will be proud, and you'll be on a pedestal finally, and you'll be able to do all these things. Trust me, they're there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the same pressure, this insane pressure that you have on yourself to lose weight. It wouldn't be there if you didn't otherwise. Right? So, what would happen if I were a doctor and I said, you have a disease. It's a form of cancer. You have done so much dieting, so much starvation, and consequent binging that your entire metabolism is now cancerous. What causes this cancer, this form of fat cancer, is starving on one end, which makes your cells very sensitive, and binging, which actually stimulates the growth of this cancer. Unfortunately, because the brain has acclimated, the weight that you're at now is permanent. Permanent. So even if you try to lose weight, you're going to gain it all back. And when you try to lose weight and starve, your cancer is going to grow when you gain it back. So you're going to gain back more. Does that sound like the disease that you have?
I hope not.
Well, no, does that sound pretty accurate? It does, doesn't it? Like, holy crap, never thought of it that way. But that sounds so true. Like, I literally would, if a doctor told me that, I'd believe him. That sounds real, right? So you have a form of cancer that's caused by dieting and manifested by binging. So your brain has acclimated to this size, and it truly only functions with this size. It thinks this is it. Okay? This is similar to being told, hey, you have this issue. We're going to have to cut off your legs from the knees down. Right? Wouldn't you say that's pretty equal? Wouldn't you say that would be a pretty big blow?
Yeah.
Okay. So the doctor says, so you know what? My suggestion for you is to live your life. Move on. Do the best you can to make the best out of your life. You never have to diet again, ever. Ever. There's no, if you do, you're going to make this cancer grow. Now what? Now what would you do?
Well, I guess I would just try to have to live my life around that and figure out what I could do and what I couldn't do.
Would you be okay?
I would have to figure out how to be okay with that.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Because no one wants to live feeling like a martyr, right? Because that would be misery. It's like you've got this life to live. If this is the worst thing ever, if this is it, is it tolerable? Is it enough that you could live a good life? You could feel like you could be creative again. You could start exploring art again. You could start working on maybe a skill. What is available to you still if this was permanent?
I guess what I'm already doing. You know, I have a nice group of friends and active in theater. I just wouldn't be able to do the things that I want to do and can't really do it right now. I can't walk 18 holes of golf.
Yeah, it'd be. Remember when I said this is kind of like telling someone we're going to have to cut your legs off at the knee? Do you remember when I just said that a second ago?
Yeah.
Do you see how this is like not that bad, but it's physically it is hindering, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, but the prognosis is this is it. So like someone who's getting their legs cut off at the knee, they have to say, okay, all right, so that's fine. I'll never run again. I'll never have feet. I won't ever feel them again. I'm gonna obviously have limitations, right? How long do you think they sit in pain and martyr about their legs being cut off?
Well, I mean, it depends on the person. I mean, I've seen it go both ways.
Of course, right? Some people enjoy being a martyr, that's for sure. There's a lot of people that really love their pain. They won't let it go. It defines them, and they love the story. And they like all the attention they get for having such an awful life. But then there's those people that say, you know what? This is my life. I'm going to find an alternative route to get what I want. So if I want to have fun, I'm going to go have fun. This is the body I'm in. This is what I have. I'm going to do it. Okay? So let's go through that again. I want you to visualize this. This is your body. This is what you have to have. This is, yes, you're going to have limitations. Can you work around those limitations and have the best life that you can create?
Sure. I mean, I'm just going to have to make compromises with the things that I want to do that I can't do it this way. I would just have to compromise somehow.
Yeah, and accept it. Accept that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like someone has this dream of being a professional athlete. They're super talented. They dedicate their entire childhood towards this sport. They go through college with this sport. They get to the big leagues and they get injured and they never play again. Right? How are they ever going to live again without ever playing that sport? How are they going to do it? It's a similar situation here, right? Psychologically. Who are you? What is life about? And can you find an alternative to happiness? If you can't have the thin, healthy, fit body, then can you find another route?
Well, I don't think that losing weight will bring happiness per se anyway.
Nope. So at least you don't have to do. Don't
if I'm not happy at this weight, I'm not going to be happy when I'm thin.
Of course not.
I believe it's not a
Nope. And
transference. So I believe there's a couple things that I haven't done yet that I could do at this weight, but for the most part, I've built a pretty good life around my size. I am pretty active. I have a nice social life. But it doesn't impact me on other levels that are social, that are spiritual, that are, that I don't go to church because I don't want to go alone and be the big girl.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Even though those people don't care. It's just, I'm lazy when by the time Sunday comes around, and I don't want to get up and go. And I think, if I felt better physically, I probably would.
I don't want to go either, just so that you know, and I'm not lazy. I went to a lot of church growing up, and I would by choice not go.
To do with that.
Yeah, so you would work around it though. If this was a permanent prognosis, which wouldn't you say up to this point that it's pretty much been a permanent prognosis for your whole life?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's just accept it for what it is and let's move on. So one thing you have not gone to yet is what happens now with your relationship with food. This is a very big deal, what we're getting into right now. Because your entire life, because it's been dedicated to losing weight, you have been obsessive about food. What happens now with food now that you never have to have a food religion again? And you can see that food religion is part of why you have this cancer. So, what just happened? What happens when you don't have to lose weight anymore? What happens to this pressure on the perfect way of eating?
I don't know.
It's pretty huge, right? If there's like this...
4 years old, I've only thought about it. I've been made to think about it, or it got to the point after my mother passed away that I did it for her. So I don't even know. I don't even know.
Neither does a 4-year-old. Or a 10-year-old. Or a 20-year-old who makes this decision. Right? When I made this leap, I was at the same place you are. Had no freaking clue. No idea. I remember, I actually felt like I was 4 years old. That was the age I felt. 4 years old.
Well, I don't even know what it's like to be a kid with food. Kids don't think about it. They just eat till they're satiated and they stop.
I know, right? But they still have to learn the body they're in. So either way, you're going to have to figure that out, right? I mean, would you honestly choose to have food religion based on the fact that it's going to cause more cancer growth?
No, but I still don't know I don't even know what to do when my stomach growls.
That's okay. Wouldn't you learn? You'd figure it out, right? It's kind of like someone who gets their legs chopped off is eventually going to have to learn how to walk in a prosthetic. Or should they just stay in a wheelchair the rest of their life because they're afraid to learn something?
No, I'm ready to learn. I just don't know the first thought to have.
You don't have to. I would be surprised if you did have that first thought, right? I mean, considering it'd be shocking for you to go, I know exactly what to do. That would be like, whoa. No, you're basically starting where everybody pretty much starts. So there's nothing special about where you're at. It's pretty much where everybody starts. And it's not that hard. It's not that complicated. You just have to have a desire to learn. It is absolutely no different than you wanting to learn how to play an instrument. Where do you start? Well, you gotta pick an instrument first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect. You just have to want to learn it. And the more you want to learn it, right, and you enjoy learning it, what happens to your skills with it? They improve, right? All you need to have is a desire to learn. That's it. And it really is a desire to develop a skill set. It's not a desire to memorize a belief system. It's a desire to learn a skill. That's it. So, you have this cancer. It's caused by dieting and the subsequent binging. You've dieted your whole life, so no wonder you have this cancer, right? Everybody who has this cancer is dieted to it. It doesn't happen without dieting. Did you know that? So everybody who has to rehabilitate themselves from this cancer, they have to learn how to eat biologically. And they have to learn to eat pleasurably, because that part has been neglected as well. Right? Biological eating and pleasure eating. Those are two skill sets that you have neglected that are also part of why you have those impulses to binge, which are also part of the cause of the cancer. Am I making any sense for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to go back to this question, though, when I say, what happens if you never have to diet again? So you actually can eat anything that you truly find pleasurable. You really have access to it.
That's what I feel like I've been doing.
No, that's not what you've been doing. What you've been doing is eating foods because you feel bad about it. You've been eating foods because you feel like you can't have it, because you feel like you're going to get deprived of it. You haven't been eating actually this way at all.
I don't know how to think. I don't know how to think about eating food without the baggage. How do I do that?
Well, it's pretty simple. The first thing you need to do is you need to actually wait until you think you feel hunger, okay? So it could be a couple of days. You know, one way to think of it is if something cataclysmic happened and all of a sudden our access to food went away, to restock our food is gone. So you have the food that's in your house and what you have in storage. Would you eat that food in that circumstance if you weren't hungry? There's no way to restock it. Right? Would you eat food in that circumstance?
No.
If you weren't hungry. So how would you eat then?
Well, I actually had to do that when I was overseas. I think that is why I have so many issues still around food, is because I'm so afraid of not having.
Okay, hold on a second. No, this is not overseas. I didn't say food is withheld and everybody else gets it and you don't get it. And when you get back to the States, you're going to get more. Nope, I didn't say that. So this is not anything like what you had experienced. I'm talking about real cataclysm.
We didn't know when we didn't know when we were going to get any more, so we would have to ration what we had.
Okay, so you have learned to ration. So with that rationing, Mark, can you please help me here? I'm sorry, my dog is here barking and I need some help. Do you mind? And then shutting the door? That would be really helpful. Stay with where I'm taking you. You're going back to your history, and that's not going to take you anywhere.
Okay.
You just trust me on this, because your history and how you validate and justify and how you, it's not going to work for you in the future. So we have to take you a completely different route. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cataclysm. You have what's in your house, right? And you have the option of obviously foraging, hunting, to restock your food. You're not dependent on someone else here, right?
Okay.
So tell me what happens immediately to your urges to binge on your food.
Well, I think I'd be more cautious, be more mindful.
Tell me what happens to your urges to binge on the foods that you have.
I think it dissipates.
It does, right?
The focus is on long-term survival and not immediate satiation. Yeah.
No, it's not even immediate satiation because, your binging only comes because you feel like you're fat and ugly and you need to change and no one likes you and the food is bad. Now you have shame and guilt because the food religiously is morally wrong, right? That completely goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you be, even the food in your house that you have that is only binge food, would you binge on that?
No.
Notice how immediately you don't have a binge eating disorder. It's like, boom, it's gone, right? Yeah, you're laughing because it's like freaking ridiculous.
It is.
It's like, oh, all of a sudden you don't have this first world problem. So now you would think, okay, so here we have it. I've got this food. And immediately what starts to happen to your brain? What do you start doing? Do I have any seeds? Do I have any vegetables that I can get the seeds out of? Do I have a way to hunt? Do I have, right?
Right.
Do I have safety? Do I have water? So all of a sudden you're actually thinking clearly about real survival, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, how long would you wait to eat?
Until I felt like I absolutely had to.
Of course, exactly. You would wait until you were hungry enough that you would say, okay, and then how much would you eat? Would you eat a half of a portion? Would you eat a certain amount of calories? Would you?
Oh my God.
How much would you eat?
Oh my God. Yeah.
No shit, right? Like you have this. You already know. Don't give me this shit. I don't know what to do. Yes, you do.
Oh my God.
It's
that's funny.
Hardwired. Every human being has an instinct to know how to do this. You already know how to do it. You just don't want to have to do it because everybody gets to eat and you don't. There's this weird paradigm that you keep on holding yourself to. And in all reality, you could do this without having to go through the lessons. You have this skill set. You just have to implement it.
Right.
That's it. It's not that hard. You would only eat when you were hungry enough, and you would eat enough for that hunger to go away sufficiently so that you could have the energy to go out and do what you needed to do to restock more food. Then you would wait until you were hungry enough. Then you would eat sufficiently to make sure your hunger was gone and that you had enough energy to continue to move on. Would you be monitoring your weight?
No.
Of course not. How ridiculous. Would you be like, oh my gosh, after a couple weeks, my clothes are totally baggy? No, you wouldn't give a shit. You wouldn't care a rat's ass. You honestly, would you be like, oh my God, I feel so much better? Of course you would, actually. You'd be like, what the hell? Why didn't we have Cataclysm 5 years ago? The problem is you've been so brainwashed to believe that you have to have a diet because the diet culture has brainwashed you to believe that. They make you think like your body can't even do it, which is freaking nuts because you know intuitively and instinctively that you could totally survive in famine. But what they've told you is that you would binge on everything because you have a disease that makes you binge on food. You're like addicted. That's not true. It's not true. That whole system is based on this first world problem with body image and food religion that wouldn't exist otherwise. Right? I mean, food religion wouldn't exist in a third world country.
Wow.
It only exists when people have delusions of they've got to create problems, right? So what if I were to tell you, you've got this prognosis, the doctor says the goal for you is to eat only when you're hungry and only enough for hunger to go away, because that hormonally keeps you safe from this cancer from growing. So it's like rationing, similar to what you would do in that circumstance, in a rationing circumstance. That's how you should eat. And the key here is making sure that you're eating pleasurably. So when you do eat, that you give yourself access to what sounds good to your mouth, right? So what sounds good? You have abundance at your fingertips. You can have anything that sounds good to you. Like when you go to a restaurant, if you're hungry, the whole menu is an option. The entire flippin' menu is an option. And guess what? The next time you're hungry, the entire menu is an option again. And the next time, the entire menu. And every single time you eat, did you know that the entire menu is available to you? Every time? So, man, what does that do to your decision right now in the moment to eat when you're hungry? What would you choose knowing that every single freaking thing on the item is going to be available to you every single time? Tell me what happens to the urge to binge.
I don't think there would be an urge to binge.
No, it's gone, right? Like, whoa, all of a sudden, nope, that equation does not equal binge, does it? Everything I'm telling you does not equal binge.
Yeah.
However, what if I said to you, you can only have salad, and you got to have the lowest cal salad dressing? Now what happens to your urge to binge?
I definitely, it would reappear in a heartbeat.
Oh, you could feel it, right? Just as soon as I said that, you were like, ugh. I feel punished. I feel deprived. I feel isolated from happiness in life. I feel like I am, it's wrong. All of a sudden, this urgency to hoard food is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as soon as I say, every time you're hungry, you can have anything on the menu, and the next time you're hungry, everything's available again, so you can have anything. It's not going away. Right? What happens? What happens all of a sudden? It's like, oh, there's no pressure, right?
Right.
And you're to eat when you're hungry, and you need to thoroughly enjoy it. Remember, the key is getting as much pleasure out of the food as possible. So if that's the case, you need to chew the food, and the mouth is where those receptor sites are. So the goal is to allow the mouth to experience the pleasure. So you need the food to stay in your mouth. You need to be conscious of where that pleasure is hitting in the mouth. And you need to try to get every bite you want to get that pleasure out of it. Every single bite. Right? Now, when you binge, that's the last thing you're thinking about. It's not about the pleasure when you're binging. It's about getting as much food down your throat as possible. So you don't want to taste the food. There's no time for that. You've got to just push it in as quickly as possible, right?
Yeah.
I know. Binging is not about pleasure. Someone who's never binged before and they're like just some scientist watching you, they'll tell you, oh, they must be addicted. It must be so pleasurable. They can't stand it. Well, if you actually talk to a true binge eater, they'll say, no, there's no pleasure in this freaking binge at all. Outside of the fact that I'm giving myself a moment, just this one moment to not feel bad about myself. That's what's pleasurable about that. It has nothing to do with the food. I'm not even tasting the food. I'm not even freaking chewing it. I'm just swallowing it.
Yeah, true story.
I know. Oh my God. How do I get this? It's freaking ridiculous when you get some scientist that wants to tell you what a binge is about and they have no flippin' clue. the food is so pleasurable, it makes you want to eat it. What? No, that's not true. In fact, the food really isn't that good and I'm getting sick. I just have to finish it so it's gone so I don't have some tomorrow. I don't even want the whole thing and I'm forcing myself to eat it.
Yeah.
I know, it's like, what the hell? These people, trust me, I think they have the right intention in making these assumptions, but honestly, the problem is that how many people have gotten themselves out of this crazy to where we can talk to people like this? How many people have you met that have gotten themselves out of it to where they can talk about it so clearly?
One.
There's more. I know I'm not the only one.
Well, you're the only one I've met.
Okay.
So.
Let me tell you, honey. The goal cannot be weight loss for you. If it is, this is what you get. What you're doing is what you get. If the goal, on the other hand, is to live and to give yourself freedom of life, dude, your body can do wonders. You just got to let it do what it's going to do. But don't depend on that. Right? If you just let the body go and you said, you know what, body, I'm going to let you fix yourself. I'm going to start living right now. So I don't need to micromanage what's going on. I don't need you to lose weight for me to be a good person and for me to live a good life. I can live a good life whether you stay this way or you gain weight or if you lose. I'm not even going to care. I'm not going to do this and require you to be thin first. I'm just going to go ahead and give myself freedom and let you heal on your own at your own rate, and I'm not even going to attach to it. I know, right? Like, whoa. Never thought of that before, right?
I haven't.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, that's the way you get out. That's how you went in. You went in saying, my body has to be thin for me to live and to be happy and to live a good life. So I'm going to force it to lose weight. So I'm going to go on a diet and we're going to make it lose weight and then I will be happy, right? At this point, you know that was a friggin' lie. You shouldn't have trusted yourself or whoever told you that. But you know, what do you do, right? What do you do? You're a kid. You have to listen. So the way to get out is completely opposite. It's saying, you know what? The body can just be a body. I don't want to rely on that. I'm just going to let it do what it needs to do. And I'm going to go ahead and give myself freedom to be creative, to be kind, to be giving, to be funny, to have a sense of humor, to be compassionate for other people, and to not be defined by the way my body looks. So if it gains or loses, that's here nor there. It doesn't have to for me to be happy. Because you know what? If I can be happy in the body I have right now, God, there is nothing in my way. So if you could be happy in the body you have right this second, what happens if you ignore your body and you say, go for it, I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and live. I'll only eat when I'm hungry and I'll eat enough for my hunger to go away. And I'm going to give myself the frickin' freedom to enjoy food because you know what? That's part of life. Why should you deny yourself that pleasure? Why? Every frickin' time you eat, you're supposed to enjoy your food. Do you understand that? Your brain chemistry requires it. If you allowed yourself every time you were actually hungry, okay, to have access to any and all food every single time you are hungry for the rest of your life, what's going to happen to your urges to binge? No shame, no guilt over the food you're eating.
I'm assuming it would go away.
You assume or you have a sense that it would?
I have a sense that it would.
I know, right? The assumption is without a sense. You're just making a guess. But if you actually have a sense, well, that's because you know that the binge isn't caused by the food. It's caused by feeling deprived and having the sense of failure when you eat the foods. Feeling deprived, then eating it, and then having failure because you ate it. That right there is how the binge begins. This has nothing to do with the freaking food. It has everything to do with your beliefs about the food and the fact that you've been depriving yourself of this pleasure and that you feel like you can't have pleasure and that you can't have food, which naturally makes food more appealing when you're stressed, right? People who don't deny themselves with food in terms of pleasure, and they don't have this shame and guilt paradigm with food, do you think that they gravitate to binging when they're stressed? Of course not. Because they don't deprive it. So why would they feel the urge to go get it? So do you feel ready? Are you ready to be done with this whole situation? Wash your hands. Are you ready? You ready to just ready. Are you ready to just let your body be a body and to love it right now? To just say, you know what? I'm done. I'm done trying to control you. You can just do what you want now. And I'll love you anyways.
Yeah.
I am ready, yeah. How does that feel?
Feels good. Feels freeing.
Does it feel kind of warm and gooey? You know, kind of like your heart is like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. Who would have thought?
Feels liberating.
Who would have thought that this is what it was going to take? This is it. Are you ready? Are you ready to leave this behind?
I am.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to, right now, do you have your phone with you?
Yeah, I have my phone. Yeah.
Okay, I want you to look in the mirror. And I want you to accept that this is what your body's going to look like for the rest of your life. Because that's what the risk feels like if you stop dieting, right? If you stop dieting, the risk is that you're going to stay exactly the same. But in all reality, if you stop dieting and you accept your body for what it is, it's kind of free to do what it wants now, right?
Yep.
So if the worst case scenario, if it chooses to stay exactly where it is, could you live with that?
Yes.
So when you look in the mirror and you see this body, I want you to make an agreement with this body that you are going to, if this is what it chooses to be, if this is what this body's destiny is from this point forward, knowing full well that you did this, you know that, right?
Right.
Because this wasn't its original destiny, but it is what it is now. So it's like someone who freaking, played a sport and then they ruin their legs to such a degree that they're wheelchair bound. Right?
Yep.
They have to look at themselves in the mirror in the wheelchair and decide, I can live a really good life here. I can do this. I have to be creative. I need to use my mind. I need to re-identify myself. I need to reclaim what my life is about, and I'm going to make my decisions. I'm not going to let some stupid freaking fitness magazine tell me what I have to look like. I'm going to look like the way my body looks like, and they can all just go to hell. Right? Right?
Awesome.
Okay. So that is how you get out. You cannot get out any other way. You have to say the risk is that I'm accepting my body as if it's good enough for me to be happy and live the rest of my life the way I want to live. If this is what happens, I will work around my limitations. I will make adjustments to my goals, but I'm going to start living my life now. I am done. I'm done feeling bad about it. How do you feel about this?
I'm ready to make that switch in my head. I'm ready to flip it.
Okay.
And say, this is it.
Okay, so the way you flip the switch is you look at the body you have right now and you literally think, can I accept this even if people judge me?
Yes.
Even if people make comments. Yep. Can you just hear them and go, yeah, they have no idea. They have no clue how this got created.
Right.
Their religion created this. That food Nazi, that's how they are at risk for this. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
I know they are. They're like, whoa, you better watch yourself, because as soon as you have something that you have morally judged as wrong, you're about to binge on it.
Right.
And your perfect abs are about to go away as quickly as you binge on that type of food, right? So you can have compassion for those people, right?
Right.
I know. Okay, so it begins with you looking in the mirror and saying, this is good enough. I don't expect this to change. And if it does change, I don't even care. It doesn't do anything. I don't have to have this go away for me to be happy. So if it naturally goes away, I don't even want to attach to it. It's not even mine, it's the body's. It's the body resolving itself. I don't need to attach to it. It doesn't mean I'm a better person. Can you see where that might be a vulnerability for you in the future?
I can.
Yeah.
Because,
So,
of course, I've lost weight and couldn't stay there. It's definitely my head when my body gets to a certain weight. It's a whole nother thought process I don't have control of.
oh, yes, you do. But the thought process is that you have to prove yourself more or you cannot afford to gain the weight back. So, because then people will know it's not real, it's fake, all this like, oh, we're so proud of you. It all goes away. So there's a huge amount of risk if you regain the weight, right? So that
Right.
makes the pressure even more intense, which what's that going to do to your urges to binge?
Bring it back.
I know. So you can't afford to even claim the fat loss as yours. So if you by chance, we're not even going to guarantee or expect it to happen, but just in case you do, guess what, honey? You're not even allowed to tell people that you did it a certain way. You just got to say, you know what, honestly, I'm not doing anything different. My body's just releasing this weight. Must need it. Who knows? I feel the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's better. I'm not happier now.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not even my deal. Tell me how that would feel.
I like that answer.
Yeah, because you know that there is no risk of the pressure building. It's like, it can do what it wants.
Right.
It's not even my body. It's not my body. This isn't my job. I'm not the one making the body lose fat. It's not me. It's not my pressure. It's doing whatever it needs to do. All I'm doing is following its biological rhythms of hunger. That's all I do. And I give myself the freedom to eat the abundance of food I have available. I get to have pleasure. I get to enjoy the food. I actually get to taste it now. Are you ready to sign this contract with the body to let it go?
Yeah.
Okay, so you look in the mirror and you say, you know what? You are free. You are free to go. You can do what you want now. And I accept that if this is what I'm going to look like the rest of my life, that it's good enough. Because there's a whole lot of other shit you could have that you don't have, that this would be a better situation. Right?
True. Yeah,
I know.
True.
There's always something worse. Is this something that you would agree with the body? Because you're not doing this for me. You're doing this between you and your body. This is only between you two.
Yes, I'm definitely doing it.
Okay. The body is free.
Yes.
Now, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about this body you're in now?
Definitely better.
Do you love it?
I'll work on that.
No, I need you to just relax your mind for a second, and I really want you to separate your spirit, which is your alma, which is your character and this sense of yourself, from this body that you've been in for your entire life. I want you to consider everything that you have done to it and how it has survived.
Sure.
And you just set it free. You just set it free from your control. How's that feel? it's allowed to now just be a body. It's allowed to function as a body. You just gave it that freedom. Now, flip your spirit around. I want you to look at the body as a completely separate entity. That it is a body that's primary function is to keep you alive. That's it. How do you feel about it? How is it done? Under the circumstance for over 50 years, how is it done?
I'd be proud.
No shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you love it?
I do love it now.
Mm-hmm. Like,
it's my fifth.
Amazing. Amazing. Like bionic. You have a bionic body. Have you ever considered that it has been able to survive under such extreme circumstances chronically for decades?
Yeah.
Bionic. How does it feel for the first time to actually feel this warm, hot belly love for this flesh that has allowed you to stay here? Even though you have mutilated it to death, trying to make it thin.
That's good.
It should feel like, wow. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
So, sign the contract. Make the decision. You will never again diet. Ever. 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 It is over. Sign the dotted line.
I won't ever diet again.
And so you accept this body.
I do.
So now, now that the body is free, you get to learn how to eat all over again. This is brand new for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you freaking excited or what?
I am pretty excited.
Whoa, this is exciting, but you just need to know you might not be hungry for a couple of days. That is what I observe with binge eaters that are morbidly obese. Tell me, you've had really quick. You've had gastric bypass?
I did.
You've done the protocol multiple times. I just assume you've done freaking everything on the face of the planet in terms of trying to lose weight. So, agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can just let that go now. So, you know, when someone says, oh, there's this new cleanse, what you gonna do?
Nothing.
No shit, right? Like, whoa. Yeah. No, you're not gonna. No, this body's good. This body's good. Doesn't need it. I'm cool. Right? Okay.
Right.
Because trust me, someone's gonna say that and you're gonna go, oh my god, this might be the one thing. The one thing, right? How many times have you thought that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so when someone says, oh my gosh, I got this new cleanse, you want to try it? It's like, and then we can put you on like an order and we can like ship the supplement to your house. And then we're going to follow this gluten-free, sugar-free, grain-free, fruit-free, dairy-free plan. And then you'll drink these shakes as a supplement.
Do you live in Boulder? Because that's the language that goes on.
Honey, I just want you to know that I live in America, and that's pretty much the language in extreme diet cultures. Whether you're in extreme diet culture in Boulder, Boise, Seattle, Santa Cruz, San Diego, San Francisco, Texas, Alabama, it's all the same. Because we all live on the internet, and the internet makes it global. It's a little crazy. Okay. And you know, these poor people, their children, what's going to happen to their children? Tell me.
Well, same thing that happened to me with
Pretty
a mom
much.
that was crazy.
Thank you. That's the unfortunate part. These total innocent children are going to end up having severe binge eating disorders, hiding food. They're going to be morbidly obese. And they're going to have to go through the same steps that you're going through right now, to where they have to forgive themselves from all of it and accept the body. Even though everybody's disappointed in you, you have to be like, that's cool. You can be disappointed in me. It's my life. And this is the body I'm choosing to stay in, and it's good enough for me. But if it's not good enough for you, well, then that's fine. It's not your body. You're not in this body. Why would you care? Okay, so where your role begins is just learning how the body gives you biological rhythms. So, because for this to work long term, you're going to have to learn it, right? At some point. So, we will begin with hunger. Just wait till you're hungry. And it's not like black and white. It's kind of like this upside down U curve or a bell curve, where there is like acceleration of hunger and deceleration of hunger, and then it peaks, and then it goes away when you're eating, and then there's this acceleration of fullness. So some of this you do understand. It's been such a long time, you just need to redevelop the tactile signals. So it is identical to how I described that if you lived in where there was cataclysm and you had to ration your food, you would wait until you had hunger, but not too much, right? Because then you're prone to overconsume. And then when you ate, you would eat just enough to where you were like, I feel comfortable. I'm not starving. Agreed?
Yeah.
So you just have to learn it. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to totally suck. Trust me. You're going to suck to start. But that's not because you suck. It's because you just haven't developed the skill. It's like if I were to say to you, hey, we're going to learn how to play the clarinet. Are you going to be like amazing when you first start?
Right.
No, you're legitimately going to suck. I'm just saying, you're going to suck to start. So I'm not sitting here going, okay, we're going to do the hunger skull and you're going to be like really good now. You better be perfect now. Because if you're not perfect now, then this whole thing's going to suck. How does that affect your impulses to binge?
Yeah.
I know, right? So just accept that you're going to struggle to start, but the goal is to get better. And so you have to struggle to learn those edges. You have to learn the edges to learn them. You have to feel them to learn them. You have to go over the edge to learn what that edge felt like. Right? So here we are. What's it? Wednesday night. Are you hungry? Have you eaten? Do you need to eat? If there was cataclysm, would you make eating a priority tonight?
No.
Okay, well then make sure you drink some water, but not too much because you don't want to piss the bed. Can you tell I have young children?
Either that or you're telling me because I'm old.
Or that I still wet the bed. No, I'm kidding.
I don't have a problem with that yet, thankfully.
Oh, I did for such a long time. I think I peed the bed until I was like 10. Okay, so you're going to wake up in the morning, and then what I want you to do you drink coffee or tea?
I do.
Awesome.
Yum. Hardcore coffee.
I love coffee. So you drink coffee?
I French press my coffee. I'm pretty hardcore.
Oh, me too. Oh my God. I whip cream. I get whole cream and whip it.
I used to do that, I still have some, but I put MCT oil in a blender with my coffee and a little bit of ghee, and
do you like it?
I do.
Okay, well, the goal is to only don't do something because you think it's going to help you lose weight. That's over, honey.
Oh, okay, no, I won't do that.
Oh, my God. Notice how the diet came right back so quickly. Yeah, no diet. You're only to do what's actually pleasurable for you. Only what's pleasurable. That you would do whether you lose or gain weight. That you want to do, what you want to keep. This is something you truly want to integrate in this new life that you're living with the body. You truly want MTC oil in your coffee. If you do, then keep on going. If you don't, then don't do it.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
So you have the freedom to play, to pick and choose what you want, what you don't want. But the most important thing is that it's internally pleasing for you, that you actually like it, that you would continue to do it no matter what. Okay? So you wake up tomorrow, I want you to have your coffee, fix it the way you prefer it. And maybe just for now, I want you to jot the time. This is not forever. All we're doing is observing. I want to see how long it takes from that point for you to get hungry. Just as an observation. Aren't you curious?
Yeah, I am.
That's why I'm telling you. I'm like, just jot the time down out of curiosity. We're not controlling anything. We're just waiting. So I want to make sure, if you take a multivitamin, do you take any multivitamins?
Not, I'm not consistent, but I have them, yeah.
That's okay. Well, you want to wait till you're hungry to take those. Otherwise, you're going to get kind of sick. Okay.
Okay.
So then you're going to wait till you're hungry. So you might go to work and have a lunch break. And if you're not hungry, you need to find something better to do. So if you have errands to run, you might run your errands at that time. But I want you to know, when you actually get hungry, you have the freedom to eat whatever sounds good to you. Remember the menu I was telling you that always is full?
Yeah.
I'm talking like, it's like the menu is the Rolodex of any food you've ever eaten. That's the menu. So you can get fast food, you can get Taco Bell, you can get French fries, you can get cheeseburgers, you can get anything you want. Pizza, you can have fettuccine alfredo, you can have sushi, you can have Thai food, you can have anything that's available. Okay? When you are hungry. If you're not hungry and you have the urge, my suggestion is to write down what the urge was and just say, okay, I can have that when I'm hungry. No one's taking it away from you. It's not going anywhere. Okay? If you have, for example, candy at the office from like Halloween, what I want you to do is if you have like, ooh, I would love to have a piece. Oh shit, I'm not hungry. Put it in your pocket. Put that candy in your pocket, because when you're hungry, you can still have it if it still sounds good to you. Right? So what that does is it gets rid of this urge to eat it because it might be gone when you come back, or that it's going to go away. Make sense?
Yes. Sorry, I was on mute for a minute.
Say that again?
Yes, I was on mute for a minute. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. But you heard what I said? Did you hear what I said?
You asked me how it felt about not eating until I was hungry.
Yeah, but then making sure that you have it available when you are hungry. So like I said, if you had an urge for that piece of candy, but you realize, well, I'm not hungry, take it, put it in your pocket or put it in a Ziploc bag and just say, you know what, I'm going to have this when I'm hungry.
Okay.
Sometimes people have this weird urge to eat it because they feel like if I don't eat it, it's going to go away, right? Take it, put it in a Ziploc bag. You can have it. It's not going anywhere. You live in freaking abundance. You can have it anytime you're hungry. So carry it with you. And if it doesn't sound good to you, then save it for when it's going to sound good to you. And then gravitate to something else that sounds good to you. Remember, you have available to you every single food that has ever been eaten before and that you have available to you. No shame, no guilt, no fear, because you're going to learn how to eat these foods in relation to your body's hunger rhythms. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.